right, so if you haven't watched part one of this series, go ahead and watch it on my YouTube. You don't want to miss it. That would detail my journey from 2007 to about the end of 2021. Before I get started in the year 2022, I want to give a shout out to one of my buddies who's become a really good friend of mine, and that is Jeff Murray. Appreciate you. I appreciate your tips. I appreciate all the trades we've made. Sometime in 2021, I believe we started kind of trading a lot of discs back and forth and whatnot. And then from then on until now, we've really become pretty close. Talked about personal life things, did a lot of doubles tournaments together, encouraged each other a lot. I've gotten a lot of fun rounds in, and just continued to grow in our friendship. So love you, brother. Appreciate all you've done for me, and just know that I have your back, and I greatly appreciate having you in my life. I also wanted to let you know that, uh, like I said, when I moved to Myrtle Beach area in 2020, I had no idea that there were professional players. But some of the people, or some of the pros that became my favorites, were Chris Dickerson when he was with Prodigy and still is, and Katrina Allen when she was with Prodigy, and Ezra Aderhold. I feel like they're very quick, very humble. They get back to you quick on social media. They treat you like a human being, and they're real quick to give out tips, to give out suggestions, and to get back to you. So I appreciate you guys. And some of the others that have become some of my favorite professionals are Robert Burridge, Ricky Wysocki. I just love his push, his work ethic. I love watching his practice rounds. I love that he has pretty much all the tools. He has a phenomenal backhand, a phenomenal forehand, and his putting is one of the top putters on tour. It just makes it look so effortless and easy. And some of my Christian brothers in Christ include Ezra and Isaac Robinson, Gannon Burr, Alden Harris, Gavin Babcock. There's quite a few others out there that I'm forgetting to mention right now, but those are some of the people that I've grown to watch. And also Kristen Tatar on the FPO side. Phenomenal work ethic, very humble, always wanting to push more. She's authentic and real and truthful. All right, now let's get into 2022 season. All right, the end of the disc golf season for pros is right around October into November, and they have off until about the beginning of February. As an amateur, a lot of sponsorship applications go out about anywhere from October to December. And I had a tough decision to make, and that was whether I wanted to play for Disc Golf America or whether I wanted to play for someone else. And I chose to play for Flight Factory. Shout out to Ryan Van for giving me the opportunity to represent him in the year 2022. I don't remember if Calvin Heiberg was represented by him yet, but I loved their design. I loved their logo, and I love what they had going for them. Heather Young at the time was sponsored by them. I know some things came up with her life that she, as far as I know, doesn't play disc golf anymore. But I was super excited to represent Flight Factory. In the spring of 2022, Jeff Murray and I decided for me to trade most of my Prodigy for most of his Discraft. And I really loved most of their plastic. Some of my favorites were, of course, the Zone, which I think I'm pretty good at. No matter what manufacturer I throw, I can make pretty much anything work in my hand. But the Zone was probably one of my top favorite approach discs of all time that I've tried out of any manufacturer. I loved throwing their Lunas and putting with their Lunas. Undertaker was probably one of my top favorite discs. The Zeus and Scorch, and the Surge were some of my distance drivers that I loved throwing. Of course, the Yuli Raptor, uh, the Buzz. Buzz is probably one of the top mid ranges and well-known mid ranges out there. It's just so consistent. But yeah, that's how I started out in the spring of 2022. Was I switched from throwing primarily Prodigy to more full in and on with Discraft being my main throwers. Some of the more used ones that I loved throwing or bagging, or just the look of them, are a Jawbreaker Zone. This one is well used, puddle topped from hitting so many trees, but very consistent. A Paul Ulibarri stamped Discraft Zone given me by D-Hop, Derek Hopper. Appreciate you, buddy. Paul Ulibarri Raptor. A first run Captain's Raptor. Check out this sweet Luna that I got from my buddy Jeff. And this was given to me from Randy Vargason. I appreciate you. This thing is beautiful. Not too many of these were made. Didn't have to do it, but he blessed me with this. So thank you, Randy, for the Buzz. All right, so in 2022, played some singles tournaments, played some doubles tournaments with Jeff Murray as my partner. Nothing real too exciting, and then I believe it was in June of 2022, I participated in PDGA Am Worlds, which was a blast. Fellow member of Myrtle Beach Disc Golf Club. We drove separate, but we both went to Indiana for it. Jonathan Glass. Appreciate you, buddy. I got to meet Brody Smith, and I had him sign this crystal, I think it's Crystal Jawbreaker Undertaker, double stamped with his Dark Horse on it. Pretty sweet. Did not play very well in that tournament, which was kind of disappointing. The first round went pretty well. I think there were 300 plus people in my division, but the second round, mentally, it just got to me. Throwing shots I shouldn't have thrown. I was trying to force backhand, and I'm a forehand dominant player. Putting was awful, and I think it was a 5-round tournament. Maybe it was 4-round, 5 rounds if you made it to the last round. And the middle 2 rounds mentally just was not strong. Mentally strong. Wasn't relying on Jesus to guide me. Wasn't letting His light and His presence be with me, and just let all the negative thoughts affect me. All the bad shots affect me. I just remember like breaking down in my car even. And the last round, I decided to put some worship music in as I was playing and just enjoy the round. And I think it was one of my better rounds. Just enjoyed it, had a blast, encouraged people on my card, which again is what I absolutely love to do when I'm playing disc golf. I love to encourage people on my card. I love to just be there for them. You know, nice putt, great shot. What disc did you throw there? Great playing with you. If ever I get to the end of a round and I'm like, wow, like I'm sure that person didn't want to be on the card with me, that's when I don't, kind of feel that shame come in a little bit, and just got to remember why I'm there, to spread the love of Jesus, be His light. When people look at me, I want them to see something different about me. It's nothing that I'm doing. I want them to see that I'm pointing to the Father, and that He is the reason why I treat people the way I do. I should mention too that throughout this journey, my 2 sons have always been with me through most of those rounds too, especially through the random doubles that we played on Thursday, and they've just been throwing pretty much since they could walk. Gabe started, we moved in 2020, so he would have been about 3. He probably started around 3, 4 years old, Isaiah probably started around the same. And so they've been with me throughout this whole thing. Around this time is when I thought about playing professionally. Takes a lot of work, a lot of grind, a lot of effort. I think Paul Macbeth said one time in a video I watched him say that you got to do this. It's like a 9 to 5 type job. You got to do it like 6 to 8 to 10 hours in a day. Putting, taking care of yourself, field work, getting that muscle memory down, and putting in the work if you want to play professionally. So at this time, I thought that that's what I wanted to do, but I don't think I was mentally tough enough to put in the work, put in the time. Still dealing with a ton of anxiety, ton of depression, ton of mental health. Really wasn't focused on God at this time, but I'm I realized that He needed to be the foundation. Now we'll get to beginning of November. Played in my second Myrtle Beach Open, and I finished this year 4th out of 70 or so competitors in MA2 once again. And that was a great feeling. That was a great confidence booster. And then I would say 2-3 weeks after that, I played in a tournament at Splinter. It was a 1-round flex start, I think Splinter Blues, and I ended up taking home my first win. I don't have a trophy for that one, I don't think. But I won first place in that one. There were only like 10 of us, but that was a good confidence booster. And then a few weeks after that, I played in a Toys for Tots. One second, bear with me. Played in a Toys for Tots tournament. Very fun tournament. Usually I don't get into CTP and Aces, but it was a fundraiser for our local Toys for Tots. So I got in CTP, got in the Ace pot. It was a Super Cali. So for most of you that know, or most of you that don't know, usually a Cali is when you don't have a second person to play as your doubles. So one time throughout a hole, you get to throw, putt, whatever, a second shot. And this one was a Super Cali. So you got to play doubles with yourself. And on every drive, every upshot, every putt, you got a second shot until you got it in the basket. I remember after the first round, I was already pretty tired, and then we had J Mike's delicious, I think it was mac and cheese that time. I just remember getting to the box, and it was me, Justin, Keegan, and Noah. And we all looked like we could take a nap, like could barely function. But I don't know what kicked in, but something kicked in where I was just, my drives were great, my upshots were great, my player A putts, or sometimes player B putts, were great. And driving, or we were, getting through. We started on 18 at Splinter City Blues. Last hole was 17 at Splinter City Blues. And this shot, you either have a backhand shot from the blues or the shorts that goes to the right of a tree and then fades in, or you have a forehand shot which goes to the left of that tree and fades in. It's either skip shot or air shot. I was Bob. I was back of the box. I remember thinking in my head, now if I make this, I could tie for second place with Justin. And I was like, all right, just throw your shot. So I step up with my U-League first run Captain's Raptor that used to be Randy Vargason's. I bought it used at the Teddy Peddler. Stepped up with that. I threw it. I think it was Keegan, I think it was Justin, said, that's in. And it's flared up and just slammed right into the basket. I remember the feeling of it, like running, freaking out with excitement. That was my first tournament ace that I'd ever hit. And I remember walking back to the crowd of people that were done with their rounds. And one of the guys was like, "Oh, I think I got the CTP on 17." And I was like, I don't know about that. He's like, "I was right by the pin." And I was like, "Well, I aced on my very last shot." So I ended up taking, I think, like $200 ace pot and over $200 in CTPs from hole 17 as well as hole 7. I finished, after a throw off on hole 1, I finished in third place in MA1. That was one heck of a tournament, lots of fun. At the end of 2022, I was a 908 rated amateur. Um, Continued the climb from 2021 and 2020, which is the important thing. Heading into 2023, I decided to re up with Flight Factory. Thought it was the best move. Uh, does a really good job of supporting me. I tried to do my best to support him. Sometime between 2022 and 2023, I decided to also apply to be on Diskin Disciples, which is a fantastic group. They have gatherings in different parts of, I believe, Tennessee and different areas in the country where fellow Christians get together, might pray, might go over a Bible verse or somewhere in the Bible, and then they play disc golf together. It's been a great honor and blessing to be a part of Disc and Disciples. Throughout 2023, I played different areas than just locally. I played in Charlotte for some doubles. I played the Beast on Honey Hill in North Carolina. I believe, I don't remember if it was that year. I think it was that year I played in a tournament in Pittsburgh. And I thought at the time I was all in on disc golf. But I started to, I don't know, almost have like this anxiety, this fear of not being good enough in disc golf, like questioning whether disc golf was where God had called me for ministry. So I believe in May 2023, I applied to at first be on a police officer in North Myrtle Beach or in Horry County. Had a couple interviews, didn't go the way I wanted to, kind of hurt me at the time. I kind of took a lot of things personally when I got rejected. I think it's from some past ones. But I also applied for Horry County Fire Rescue. Didn't think anything of it. Received a phone call to go in for basically a physical and an interview in August 2023. And then I found out I had gotten the job to train for Horry County Fire Rescue. Started that job in October of 2023. First EMT side and then fire side. So in the end of October, beginning of November of 2023, the Myrtle Beach Open happened. But that year I was signed up for it, but I didn't want to miss out on training for my job, so I dropped out of it. But I did end up playing or going to watch the FPO side with my son Gabriel, and we ended up meeting. All right, in the spring of 2023, I went to a tournament or maybe it was summer. I think it was summer of 2023. I went to a tournament in Sumter, South Carolina. Good friend of mine, Kenneth Shanks, invited me to come play. Went up there with Bone from our club, Matt Robinson, and a few others. And very memorable. First round didn't do so hot. Bone and I were towards the bottom, and then Matt Robinson from, I think he played MA40, got to join us because he was on the bottom of in his division too, but we got to play around together, and it was very memorable. Putts were on, drives were on, second round. So we step up to hole 19, and I actually have the sign here, which Kenneth gifted me with. So we were playing, I don't remember if we were playing from the Blues or the Whites. I want to say it was the White Pen. Uh, First round, the basket position was over here. Second round, it was over here. I stepped up, threw my 6-time uh, Paul Macbeth Undertaker, and Bone heard the snap, and my disc was in mid-flight, and he's like, "What'd you throw there? I think I want to throw something like that." So it flipped up, came this way, and then it crashed, and we heard, boom, explosion of chains. And that was our second to last hole, I believe, or maybe we had a few more left. But I ended up acing with this 6-time Paul Macbeth. I just remember Matt Robinson giving me a big hug, and Bone uh, was ecstatic for me. And then Kenneth gifted me this after they got new signs at Dillon Park. So shout out to Kenneth. Appreciate you, brother. Hope all is well in New Mexico. The Linz twins, which if you don't know them, they're sponsored by Discraft. It is Jordan and Morgan. I always comment on their stuff, and I love their social media because they're always ripping on each other, joking with each other, like, "Oh, well, I didn't do very well, but I beat Morgan," or "I finished close to last, but at least I beat Jordan." And shout out to Morgan. She is a forehand dominant player, but she's working on her backhand, just like I am. Ended up getting a photo and meeting them, and they signed my disc. So fantastic family. Interact with them and their mom a lot because they are conservatives and they're Christians, and they aren't afraid to be bold about it. So I appreciate you guys uh, being bold in your faith out there, uh, throwing Discraft discs very well, and for being humble and getting to know y'all. So I appreciate it. So as mentioned, I was working for Horry County Fire Rescue at the end of 2023. I believe at the end of 2023, my rating was like 919, something around there. And again, I thought that disc golf was pretty much done with. But God always has a plan for you. You just have to listen. Comment down below what some of your favorite pros are, or some of your favorite discs from any manufacturer. So 2024 rolls around. I decided not to re-up with Team Flight Factory. I didn't feel like I was putting in the work, and I realized that they seemed to be more focused on the Pro Tour. Pro players didn't really feel like they were sharing um, the AM side of things very much. No offense to Ryan Van and Flight Factory, I just didn't feel like it was the right fit at the time. So January comes around, I finished up the EMT side of things, and I actually, going into January, I ended up getting some help with my mental health. It was a disaster at the time, just so much anxiety, so much fear and intensity. So I took like a month off, got help with mental health, came back, was doing the fire side, and realized that the mental health wasn't getting any better. So fast forward to beginning of May of 2024, made the hard decision that I had to resign from Horry County Fire Rescue. And at that point, it was like, all right, now what, God? Now what's going to happen? I think I played a few random tournaments here and there. One of my buddies, Richard, has disc golf and Jesus on Tuesday mornings, and I ended up playing with him, Jonathan Glass, Chad Heacock, and a few others. We were playing Splinter Blues, and hole number 6 comes along, and I stepped up to the tee box, loud snap, and I aced with this Paul Ulibarri Raptor, one of my favorite forehand discs that I've ever thrown. Very reliable, very consistent. right now we're in August of 2024 of this year, and I decided to apply for Team Lone Star. A couple buddies in the local club, shout out to Wayne and Kevin uh, for answering all my questions. Probably drove them nuts, probably still do, about the different plastics, the different flight of the discs, what they'd recommend for a forehand player, and they did not disappoint. So I ended up joining Team Lone Star. My mom blessed me by getting me a bunch of discs for my birthday. And once again, my man Jeff Murray comes through in the clutch. He had been on Team Lone Star, I think, earlier this year or sometime last year. So I traded him some of my less used discs for a bunch of Lone Star discs. Ended up once again, making a pretty smooth transition. There were a few holes here and there that struggling to fill in the bag, but for the most part, it was like I was throwing them from the beginning. Ended up playing Teddy Pedler. Excuse me. Always has an Inside the Circle championship at Soxty Rec Park. Ended up playing that once again in MA2. And first round, I was playing with Blake, local guy, and I think I was 2 strokes back going into the last hole. First 5 or 6 holes in the second round, I was so in my head, and then something just switched where I was like, all right, Jesus, like, I need you to take this, give it to you. I'm going to play the shot by shot, not really look at the scores, and see what happens. We get all the way to hole 18, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to look at the score. So I look at the score. I think I was either 1 back or 1 up on Khalil, and Blake was right there in the hunt too. We had started on hole number 4. So we're on hole 18 of a 19-hole course. I think I ended up getting a bogey. Khalil got a par. So going into hole 19, he was 1 up on me, and I think 2 up on Blake. So I ended up birdieing. Blake ends up birdieing. Khalil ends up getting a par, I want to say. So now we're tied going into the last 3 holes. Khalil and I am. Blake is 1 shot back. Blake ends up birdieing hole 1. I took a par, I believe. And Khalil, I believe, took a par. So going into hole 2, I believe something happened where he was 1 back actually from us. I think he ended up taking a bogey on 19. Sorry. So anyways, we're going into hole 2. Khalil parks his, Blake is in the circle, and I have like one of the worst drives of my life on hole 2. And I actually ended up throwing a backhand upshot, believe it or not, and it hits the pin and is parked for a par save. Khalil gets the birdie. Blake ends up missing the putt, and we all look at each other going into the last hole. We're like, oh my goodness, we're all 3 tied for the lead. So all 3 of us have not great drives on hole 3. We all get our upshots, make our putt. So now it's a 3-way tie for first place. So the rules state that tiebreakers go to hole 10, long pad. I remember there was a decent headwind, and Khalil was going all or nothing. So he bombed his drive, but it went straight out of bounds, deep. Blake and I, about the same shot. Second shot, my upshot lands like 15 feet, and Blake's goes into a little bit of jail. He ends up missing the putt, ended up making it, and I ended up being first place in my division in MA2 for the win. I ended up playing the Myrtle Beach Open this year, where I finished, I believe, 5th, solo 5th out of 65, 70 people again. Been a great year. I also ended up applying for Salty Unicorns Disc Golf They have some sick jerseys. So be sure and check them out. They will put, for just a little bit extra, any sponsors or anything you want on their sleeves, on their front, on their back. It's a sick company, and I am blessed to be a part of it. The only thing I don't throw those Discret or those Lone Star right now is my putting putters. I putt with PA3s. Other than that, everything else is Lone Star. So it's close to the end of the season. We're in the month of December. I think I have maybe one more tournament left. Right now I'm 928 rated, but I felt strongly after MBO that I was going to go from MA2 to playing MPO, the professional division. I can get paid to play if I end up finishing good enough in tournaments. And I just feel like that's the ministry that God's calling me to. You know, looking back in 2007, I just thought it was a fun, casual sport that I'd be playing disc golf. But I realize now that, it's that little seed planted by my sister Laura and brother-in-law Jose. And I thank them for that. I thank them for thinking of me playing disc golf. And I thank you for everyone that I've come across that has made an impact on me, or I've made an impact on them. I want to thank you. I would love to pray for you right now. Lord Jesus, I just ask that you come to whoever's watching this, Lord, and let them know that they are loved. Let them know that I love them and that I hope to meet them one day. Let them know that they are not alone. May I be a light wherever I go, wherever you send me. May I be a light when I have a good round or a bad round, a good tournament or a bad tournament. Just help me to be your light. Help me to do things your way. Help me to acknowledge you in all my ways, and you will make my path straight. Just be with me as I start to travel a little more, as I start to journey out. Just provide for me, Lord. Provide finances for my wife and Move Mountains Chiropractic, and for me to be able to do the disc golf thing, but also to spread your light. Just allow people that come across this to know that you love them and that I love them. If in your mighty name I pray, that if you need any prayers, if you're seeing this and you need any prayers, be sure and reach out for some prayer. I would love to pray with you. I just want to thank you for checking in. I just have a little bit more to share for what is to come in 2025. 2025, like I said, my sponsors are Team Focus, Disc and Disciples, Team Lone Star, and Salty Unicorn Disc Golf Apparel. I will be playing MPO. My first tournament is the Chile Open on January 4th. I think right now there's going to be 8 or 9 of us if there's a couple that get it off the wait list. I am attending from January 17th to the 21st or somewhere around then. Eagles Wings Conference in Florida. It's a time where a bunch of Christian disc golfers come, get together, have some worship time, get to listen to God's word, but also there's a couple tournaments and some pros are even there. What I hope to get out of that are to be encouraged in my faith, in my boldness, to go out and share God's gospel, to strengthen my ministry and belief that this is what God called me to do, because a lot of times I struggle with doubt, and just meet some people, make some connections, come up with some ways maybe to help provide for my family. And I just want to thank you for checking out this video. The next video I plan on making is probably a video talking about the collection of disc golf discs that I own, and some practice rounds, and some collaboration with Jeff Murray and a few others. So be on the lookout. Be sure to share, subscribe, comment down below, and I love you. Jesus loves you. Thank you.